All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Bunker Live. It's a weekly live show brought by Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran milspouse entrepreneurs dedicated to helping the military-connected communities start their own businesses. Stat we like to talk about is 25% of transitioning service members want to start businesses, and they need places inside their community where they can go to connect with people, resources, and the support they need to grow their businesses. I'm here with a few co-hosts, Amy Mortensen and Mike Stedman. Mike Stedman, I'll let you introduce yourself.
What is going on, everybody? This is Iron Mike Stedman, host of the Transition Podcast and CEO of Ironbound. I got Ironbound Media and Ironbound Boxing, so a nonprofit and a for-profit supporting the community here in Newark, New Jersey. Amy, go ahead and introduce yourself too.
Hello. Amy Mortensen. I am the marketing project manager for Bunker Labs. I don't have fun businesses like that. I have a hobby business, but we don't need to talk about that. So I'm here to learn from Mike about how can I turn my hobby business into maybe something more.
Well, we're not just learning from me, we're learning from everybody. And I just want to say good morning. I see people dialing in the chat. Amber Armstrong, good morning. Frank, good morning. And today, what we thought we'd talk about are, top 5 business mistakes we see. Full transparency, I made this list, right? So this isn't coming from Forbes or anything like that. This is just coming from me and, me maneuvering within the Bunker Lab ecosystem and my own hustle for the last, 4 years. And so we're interested to hear you guys' feedback out there too as we go through this. So Kai, the first business mistake I've come across is people not having a clearly articulated value proposition. And when I first became an entrepreneur, I had no idea what a value proposition was, right? I was like, what the heck are people talking about? But it's super simple. It's what problem are you solving for, right? That somebody has, it's a legitimate problem. And then how are you positioning your products or service as a solution to that problem? All right. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a boxer, right? And so whenever I hit the bag, sometimes my hands hurt. Okay. That is a legitimate problem. So depending on what type of gloves I use, it prevents against that. Or maybe I have some extra padding I can put inside my hand wraps that prevent me from getting bruised up. Right. And so that is a pain point I'm dealing with. So I pay for high quality gloves in order to prevent feeling pain in my knuckles, right? Too often, we just come up with a business idea and we don't really know whether or not it's solving an issue in the marketplace. What do you think, Kai?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I don't have a comment on that one. Sorry, sorry, Mike.
No, but seriously, you're really good at videography skills, right?
Yeah.
That is a legit solution for people because I know I'm not a good documentary film guy, right? I can pull out my iPhone and shoot stuff, but the way you position yourself is you have a turnkey package to create these really powerful narrative videos that organizations benefit from.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's really hard, especially at the beginning, to figure out what's going on in the market, especially now, and how to quantify time, money. It's very difficult. I mean, so what are some tips that you'd recommend as far as figuring out what your value would be?
I think the first thing is getting out there and actually talking to people. A lot of times I feel how it is. You come up with an idea, you don't want to tell anybody about it because you're scared they're going to steal it from you. And when you do that, you're just basically coming up with these ideas in the bubble. You're not getting any real-time feedback from people. And if you are talking to people, who are you talking to? Your friends, your cousins, family members. You're not talking to people that are going to be the ones that are going to be future clients, potential clients. So one of the things people need to do is they need to get out there and start to actually do those customer interviews, and listen to the marketplace and figure out what is a pull, what are people asking for versus what are you just trying to force on the marketplace?
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the second mistake, right?
Yeah.
Failing to validate the business model with paying clients.
Exactly. So this one is, and I was guilty of this, right? I think I said on one of the transition podcasts of my first real for-profit business was teaching boxing as a form of employee wellness. So I was like, oh, I'm a boxing coach. I can make money teaching corporate clients. They'll pay me whatever. And when I started, man, I was making $200 a week, borderline. That's poverty, And
in New York City?
In New York City, yeah, $200 a week, man. It was terrible. But eventually I was able to grow it, to where I was, decent money, lifestyle business, could pay my bills, pay my expensive. But I'll be honest with y'all, there was never really a like full on pull, and maybe it was too early for me, right? Because eventually, I did have people reach out and we're like the perfect fit for them, hook, line, and sinker. They wanted an on-site boxing instructor, right? So we were like prime time for them. But when I started, right, like I didn't validate the model. Like I came up with this idea and I quit my job and I jumped right in instead of like going out, getting some paid clients, figuring out what people are willing to pay in the marketplace for what I was able to deliver, and then built the business around that.
Yeah, I think last week you talked about like you had to find your like niche market or whatever, like the I think it was the car dealerships you were talking about.
Yeah, car dealerships. I taught boxing classes to car dealerships.
Yeah, so like without going out and talking to customers or potential customers, like you could have, or probably did, waste a lot of time looking at the wrong, industries or whatever to try to sell your idea to.
Yeah, and I was marketing it all wrong too. See, the other thing about validating it is you don't really know what people are paying for. So you think you're like have this idea and you think they're paying for on-site boxing or they're paying for videography or they're paying for all this kind of stuff. But what they're really paying for is peace of mind. Maybe you're saving them time, and the only way you get that is by getting out there and engaging customers. Spend too much time. Like at a certain point, y'all, you can't do the pitch decks, go to all the pitch competitions, do all this kind of stuff. That's all nice and dandy, but you still got to figure out how to go out and get customers. So I want to encourage everyone to go out and validate the business model first, then build the business around it, right? So if you have a great idea for a product or service, before you pour jet fuel on it, right? Go out and get paid clients and use those paid clients as feedback on how to refine your venture, right? And refine your market and everything else. And then you turn the faucet on and really lean into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes a lot. Well, I'll be skipping ahead. Let's go. You want to go to mistake 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Mistake 3. I'll read it out. Not being customer focused and positioning yourself as the hero rather than the guide.
Yeah. And that comes from Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand. Yeah. And he talks about how a lot of times it's like, we want to think our stuff is so amazing, right? I see Frank talking in the chat. They've got the crayon company. What is it?
Crayons Ready to Eat.
Yeah, crayons ready to eat, right?
So,
so he said that's what he did. They validated the business model. They went out and found out that people liked it. But a lot of times, I'm going to say a lot of times, I don't want to use generalizations, but what I have seen, right, is we think our ventures are so amazing and how they're just going to revolutionize the world. And this, we've got this great product or service, we put all this heart into it, blah, blah, blah. But like, dude, that's not why people are hiring you. That's not why people are buying your products. They have real problems. They have real issues, and I feel like you need to make your business about solving other people's problems, not just putting yourself as a hero. And, Donald Miller in Story Brand, he talks about that of like, you look at people's social media and what is it? It's all about how amazing their business is, right? Look at me, look at me, look at me. It's not like, look at what this business is doing for our customers. Look at the change that they've made. And on my end, on the nonprofit side, right, I'm guilty of that as well. Like a lot of the mistakes we're listing here, I was guilty of. So on my nonprofit, it was all Ironbound. Ironbound's so amazing. Ironbound's going to change Newark. We're going to do this. I had to get out of that and start to just post the kids and tell their stories and just show the impact that, we're making.
Yeah. And I think he uses Yoda as an example in Star Wars.
Because, your client is Luke Skywalker, right? He's trying to become a Jedi. He needs a guide. He needs somebody to train him along the way. He's got Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's got Yoda. So in your business, you're the guide. You're Obi-Wan. You're Yoda. So what are you doing to make your client successful? What steps are you laying out? How are you helping them win the day? I mean, really, that's the key of it. How are you helping people win the day?
And it also seems to me that like the ability to zoom out, to look, again, the forest trees. In order to sell it, I think you need to sell a little bit more of the forest. You gotta be able to watch from. We have one view on Periscope. Oh yeah. I'm in the trees right now as I talk. But just the fluidity, the ability to have a really the why. I forgot who wrote that book, but like the understanding of why am I doing this? what is it that I'm actually solving? It's not putting shoes on people. It's, it's curing hunger in Africa with Toms, or something like that. It's filling that deeper need that people want. And I think keeping kind of like in the military, we have the compasses and we have our azimuths, and what you do is you look for the largest point in the horizon and you say, okay, that's where I'm going to. You don't look at your compass after that. You look at that point, and then you kind of navigate more fluid, in a more fluid way. And you don't think so with such rigidity when you approach a client or you approach someone that is like, oh, there's no way, like there's no way that person's going to buy my product. As long as you're like moving in the right direction, that might be a potential lead. So
absolutely. And one of the challenges too is balancing confidence, because at a certain point you're going to go and you're going to pitch and people are going to tell you that either it's a good idea or it's a bad idea. But at the end of the day, your ability to execute on that idea is what's going to make the difference. Okay. So people, you have to be confident as an entrepreneur, but the challenge with that confidence is not letting your ego get in the way. And what do I mean by ego is because when you're customer focused, it's not about what you want. It's about what your clients want. And sometimes I think we can be so in love with our plan, that like we have this tunnel vision, right? Like, this is how I want to do the business. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to sell. But your clients are asking for something different. They're saying like, yeah, we like that, but can you do this? And at a certain point, you've got to be like, okay, do I just want to keep swimming upstream, right, and have no paying customers? Or do I want to like switch it, focus on the customers and figure out how I can help them win the day and actually listen to their feedback? And it's very challenging because you're the one that's putting skin in the game. You're the one that's invested in it. But at the end of the day, you need paid clients if you're going to make your business sustainable. And in order to do that, you really have to be customer focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Go for it.
I was just going to say, I think that like, even like that's something you definitely have to do at the beginning, but I think that's something that like companies or business owners forget as they move on. Like, even if you're in like the scaling position or, you still need to like continue to do those customer interviews and continue to like, is this still useful to everybody? Like, is this still what we need to be doing? Cause like, not that you should be reinventing the wheel or anything, but like, you got to take those pulse checks like continually or, you're not going to grow.
Absolutely. And as we pull up the next mistake, I want to give a shout out to Latasha Ford, Sheila Barron. Who else we got in here? Edward Moore. See, people jump on. They say, good morning, family. That's, just because people out there in the hustle, man. So they love having this bunker community to lean on. And so, that's why we're here. So this next mistake, right? I put this one in. I mean, I put all in. But this one I've noticed, okay? So you've got a client, you got a warm prospect, hook, line, and sinker, right? Like I do podcast production services. We create, podcasts for brands and organizations. But sometimes, right, when you have a warm prospect, you have to make it easy for them to work with you. I don't care if you have a service-based business or a product-based business. So like, hey, if I want to purchase something from you, right, how do I do it? What are the next steps? And we don't map this out. And you've got to have it like if you're a CPG company, consumer packaged goods, and let's say you sell, I don't know, gummy bears online or something. Hey, how can I purchase some gummy bears? Hey, go to our website, click the shop cart or something, and then place your order, right? We ship it to you in, 72 hours or something. But like, we can't assume that people already know this, And so you've got to like lay it out for them, like on the website, like telling people how they can purchase your goods or services. And then you got to say it over and over. It's really just a simple like call to action. And on the service side of the house, I've seen people punt it, right? So Kai, you're a videographer, right? We come to you and I'm like, hey, I'm looking to do a documentary on my gym, whatever. And you're the SME, which is why I'm reaching out to you. How do we work together? How do we begin an engagement? And you're like, good. We can do this, we can do that. And it's like going to a diner, and there's like that menu and it's got like 400 different options. And it's like slightly overwhelming. And at a certain point, you're just like, man, just give me some French fries. Or just give me a salad. Like I can get a salad anywhere in the world, but I go to this diner. But because they give me so many options, it's overwhelming that I'm just like, give me the most simplest thing. And so on the service side of the house, what you got to do is you need to have a step-by-step process for onboarding clients. Okay. I learned this from my business coach, Bill Watkins at the Lions Pride. He calls it the customer activation cycle. All right. So how do you bring a prospect in? I'll tell you, on my side of the house, the first thing I do is identify a warm lead. And then we just have that initial meeting. And in the initial meeting, we're just figuring out, I'm just getting to know him or her. They're getting to know me. I'm figuring out what their problems are, so really leaning in and understanding what they got going on. And then I tell them about what we do. And if we can help them, we love an opportunity to do. If we can't help you, we can find somebody else who is. And then after that, they're like, oh, well, what do we have to do to begin working together? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to do a working session. And this is where, I give them an hour time where we sit down and I help them take their idea out of here and get it on paper. And everyone gets a free working session. You understand? And then after that, if they want to move forward, then they pick one of our packages. They pick a package and we kick the project off. Right. And that's an activation cycle. Super simple. So when you think about a service business, I think people say like, oh, what I do is so complicated. Right. How do I create custom solutions for every client? Well, you can have a process to create that custom solution for every client. You can have initial meeting, project, design project or something, and then go long. So bottom line is like, create a plan, like make it super simple for clients, to prospects to work with you, right? Don't confuse them. When you get in that meeting, they're looking at you and they're like, okay, you got to teach me, how does this work? I don't know how this works. Like even the pay too. Like, how do we begin? Do I have to pay it all up front? Can I do 50%? If I go to your website, right? Like, do I got to pay for shipping? All this kind of stuff, right? Like the more information you can give, I think prospects, the better it is to get them to onboard with you or purchase your stuff. Yeah. I know I went kind of long on that, but what do you all think?
You motivated me, man. I think Donald Miller is really about that 1, 2, 3 punch. He's talks about like stepping stones over the river, lay out the river. What's the problem? Let me tell you what your problem is, zoomed out. Okay, let me try to get you to where you want. Here's where you want to be, and here's the 1, 2, 3 steps to get there, which is usually like the acquisition.
Yeah, and I'm a grunt, right? So like I'm a grunt and I'm a boxer, so I can't think more than 3 things. Step 1, visit our website. Step 2, book a consultation. Step 3, kick off the project. Right? Something like that.
It should really only be 3 steps. If it's more than at least 3 steps at a time. Yeah, 3 steps to get you to, first, whatever it is, signing a contract or, making a purchase or whatever it is. And then from there, you can do 3 more steps to maybe your second purchase, maybe get a subscription, whatever your business model is. But definitely, if I can be super frank, Bunker Labs has had issues with this too. It hasn't been easy to clarify how to get involved and how to get into our programs and stuff like that. We're working on it. We're always working on it, trying to make it clear.
Yeah, but see what you demonstrated there, that was self-awareness. It'd be one thing if you don't know this. It's another thing where you're man, this is a real issue. We got to get better at communicating, how people can engage with us, and let's get super focused on how these programs are. So for the listeners that are tuning in today, map out everything, right? How you envision somebody going to your website and purchasing your products, map the process out. If you have a professional service-based business, map the process out. If you have a startup, right, map the process out. How do I sign up for your app? Do I go to the app iStore? I sign up? Do I put my credit card? I don't know, man. I'm busy. Help me.
Yeah, you want to make it as easy as possible for people because they're not going to take the time to figure out your stuff. You want them to figure it out quick. You want to solve their problems as soon as possible. And as far as the website stuff goes, once you have a website up and you think it's out there and you think it might be working or not working, there are things like Hotjar you can install on your website to test, to do click maps and stuff like that to see how people are interacting with your website and see if your theories about how people are looking at your stuff are panning out. That's a good way to at least validate or test your theory about how people are looking at your stuff.
Yep.
And all right. So in the interest of time, I say we should move on to to mistake 5.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's do it.
Good conversation this week, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one. We got people tuning in. I'm looking on LinkedIn. We got 17 people live with us right now. So this last mistake, and I think it's the most important, is having a fixed mindset. let's be honest, all life is hard. People got problems. Everybody got problems. Kids, family, pandemic, you name it. And it's real easy to kind of feel like you're stuck, or that there's no way out of the situation that you're in. And sometimes this can lead to having what we call a fixed mindset, which is like you just almost become like kind of pessimistic. You feel like you lose control over the outcome. I think people call it internal locus of control, right? You feel like you lose that sense of control, and you're not open to new ideas or a different way of doing things, right? You won't even consider it. And for small business owners, that's terrible because it prevents you from growing, And so one of the things I want to challenge everybody to have is, avoid having that fixed mindset. And one of the ways I do it personally is I'm always learning. I'm always reading. I'm learning. I do the Transition podcast. I get to interview all these great entrepreneurs. And that is just like great business advice right there. Just listening to their stories, so listening to those lessons, reading, talking to mentors, going to events, learning, changing, growing, and it goes back to what we talked about before about that ego. The ego is the enemy. The ego will hold you back, because you think you have it right. That's a fixed mindset in itself versus saying like, yo, Lynn, I need to keep learning, and I'm committed to figuring this out. And I'm not committed to figuring out my way. I'm committed to figuring out what works.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you go.
Y'all make me get on here feel like I'm preaching. Then Kai's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, 100%.
I just, it's tough when you're listening, when you're such an, like, I do a lot of active listening, and when you talk, it really does feel like motivated, But you're right. It's a story. A lot of us tell our stories, and if it doesn't, again, it goes back to like, doesn't fit into that story. If it seems to not make sense, for the vision that we've created, it's not going to work. You have a book recommendation.
I do.
So what's your book recommendation?
On every episode of Bunker Live, I'm going to do a book rec. And so this is good because it's going to help me stay up on my reading. I get up every morning. I read like 30 minutes a day.
You have a crazy morning
hour routine. A day I try. Okay. So my book recommendation for the week is The One-Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. The subtitle is Get New Customers, Make More Money, and Stand Out from the Crowd. I mean, come on now. Take my money, right? You see, I've got it highlighted here. I've read it on Audible probably like 3 or 4. I've listened to it on Audible like twice. I've read it like 3 times, and I still need to like implement some of the stuff. But the reason I like this book right here is he lays out this one-page marketing plan. You can't really see it right. So, all right. The marketing plan, basically, It's just a simple framework that helps you walk through how to basically identify your target market, how to convert that target market into paying customers, and how to increase lifetime value after they purchase from you. And he literally maps out this process, like everything from like, what's your message to your target market? What's your call to action? He literally says, how do you increase customer lifetime value? Are you doing a podcast for them? Are you doing a newsletter? What incentives are you doing to make it worth people's while to keep working with you? So highly recommend this book. You can't go wrong. And also this book is just great. So check it out on Audible. Buy it, read it, reread it. And I think it'd be good, especially if you're early stage small business or early stage startup.
All right. And we also have Amy. He's going to give us a little state of the bunker. What's happening right now?
Okay, so this week we've got a virtual Connect networking event coming out of the Atlanta chapter, or we don't say chapter anymore, community. So this Thursday, April 29th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is just a standard Bunker Connect networking event, no theme for that one. And then next week, Tuesday, we've got another virtual Bunker Connect coming out of the Portland community. This one is going to be Tuesday, May 4th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That one's going to be talking about general contractors and real estate resources for small businesses. So you might want to get on that one if you are interested in that topic. And then the first week of May, there's a lot of stuff going on, but this week we're just going to highlight the Veterans and Residents Pitch Competition. So the current cohort of Veterans and Residents is wrapping up their cohort with a pitch competition on Wednesday, May 5th. That is virtual, at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Tickets for all those events, free tickets available at chapters.bunkerlabs.org.
All right. And I want to give a quick plug to the sponsors. First one being Metlife Foundation, actually the only one right now. Their commitment to supporting veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. In addition, the foundation provides mentorship and financial health resources to veterans and military spouses transitioning into the workforce. They also are a sponsor for Mike's Transition podcast. And where he demystifies the entrepreneur experience for veterans and military spouses of early stage startups and small businesses. You can listen to it on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. And he would greatly appreciate it, speaking for him, if you subscribe, rated, and
review
us a review. That would be awesome. Also, Bunker Labs community, bunkerlabs.org. I might have put on bunkeronline.org last time. That was wrong. It's now bunkerlabs.org. I think it'll still take you to the same place. If you go there, you can select a city near you and go to an in-person event and a virtual event now that we're doing both. We also offer, networking, and there's a ton of programs. So if you go, again, bunkerlabs.org, I'm not clicking any of these things because I'm talking, but I realized I should have been clicking them. There we go.
You got to multitask.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, trees and zoomed out. That's as I give that speech or whatever. Anyways, thanks so much, guys. That's I think that's everything for today. I wish we can get to questions, but we're already coming up on a little over time. So we'll be back next week at the same time. I know I said that last week, but I think this week we'll actually stay consistent. So hopefully you'll see us here at 10 Central Time, 11 East.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna try the rest. Thanks for joining, guys, and see you next week.
See everybody next